Hi there, welcome back to All Things Home Care. I'm your host, Dana Arnone, and I'm sitting here with a very good friend of mine, Sandrine Etienne. Etienne, right?
Etienne.
I don't have that accent.
Close enough.
Okay,
I won't tell Linda.
Okay, yeah, she would hate that. Her last name's easy, though.
It is.
It's easier than yours. So, Sandrine and I have known each other for a very long time. We've had the privilege of working together on many different levels.
Yeah.
You're a medical social worker who does a lot of things in the community for home care and a lot of visits throughout the boroughs in Nassau County. So I always like to start off by saying, a little bit about yourself and what does a medical social worker mean? The term medical, because not everybody is a medical social worker.
Sure.
So what does that mean?
So basically, for my particular job that I do, I work for a major healthcare system in the area, and what I do is I go to the homes. So, because there is medical social work in the hospitals, but I don't do the hospitals. I do the home visits. So I go in, the nurse may recommend that they get a social worker just because they might be having a hard time adjusting to their illness, or they might be dealing with a recent loss or some sort of a stressor that they're having a hard time dealing with. So I go in and I assess the situation, and then we talk about the different services and what types of access as far as the community resource that might be available that can help them.
All right. So you and I first met many, many years ago. You're working in a rehab facility,
Yes.
skilled facility.
Yes.
So that type of social work is helped you do medical social work in the home, or was it completely different?
Completely different.
Really?
Like,
You like home better?
I love the home better. Like, honestly, I could never go back. I appreciate the experiences I had and the connections that I made. I would have never met you.
Oh, that's true.
But just being in the home is so different because you get so involved and you're so entwined into the family. And it's pretty cool to see, because then a lot of times, like, you feel like you're helping but on a different level, and it seems deeper. Because remember, these people are opening their homes to you, and there's a huge respect that comes along with that, and not everyone will just say, hey, okay, yeah, come on in, so it's nice to be in that type of environment for me.
So for you, who's telling you to go into the home? So you work for a certified home care company.
Yes.
We won't mention which one it is, but we both know.
Yes.
And so when the nurse goes in and sees there's issues in the home, and so they'll
call into our department and say, hey, we need a social worker, and then I'll go in and assess and see what their needs are.
See, for me, being a nurse, nursing minds, social work minds are different.
Absolutely.
But over the years, I've become more of a social worker mind because I've seen the impact that social workers can have on a family or an individual. And most of my best friends are social workers, so I have no choice now. But for me, I never really realized the impact and the importance of a social worker. I think people don't really, they underutilize social work, or they use social work for things that really aren't
really necessary.
Yeah, I know.
Like, let me see. One of the things might be, okay, and listen, I'm not saying that I don't know insurance per se, but sometimes I'll get a call, oh, hey, Sandrine, they're having an insurance issue or some sort of a question.
Or a billing problem.
A billing issue. And I'm like, well, I can't call, let's say, for example, if it's Empire, I can't call Empire for them. They have to call for themselves to dispute that. So, like, where that seems, while it may seem appropriate, it's not really appropriate. However, if someone is dealing with the loss of their loved one, like their spouse, listen, I have people, they've been married for 50 years, and then all of a sudden their spouse it just passes away all of a sudden, and they need help with that. And sometimes it's as an afterthought. Not all the time, but sometimes the nurses may not think, or someone might not think that, oh, hey, let me put in the social worker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. See, for me, one of the biggest things that we see a lot is, the elderly now are becoming isolated. They're homebound where they were never homebound before, so their life circumstances have changed. I personally would put social work on every single one of my families because I believe on some level social work can impact people, especially with, the elderly that are suffering from depression or dementia, and the families don't know how to deal with their demented family members, so they're at their wits' end. They don't, so we put social worker. I use social workers all the time, and it's not something that's reimbursable for me. So that's something that I really have to believe that it's going to do, help out the family for me to put a social worker in the house.
Sure.
So we have social workers go in and we help them with Medicaid. We help them with applying for Medicaid. I know that you used to help us with that as well.
Yes.
We do little psychosocial analysis of families to see exactly what the background was and a little bit of how we can help, make their lives a little bit better.
Absolutely.
But a lot of times you find that you're going in for the patient or the family or both.
It's both, but honestly, I feel that it's more so the families.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Giving them that support systems.
Yeah.
So when you go in, do you talk about entitlements?
I do. I talk about like things like Medicaid. So my particular agency, we a huge payer source for us is Medicare, and so I go in and I talk to them about some of the services that are available through Medicare, which unfortunately is not a lot for home care, and then I have to talk about, well, maybe have you considered Medicaid, or maybe you have some sort of long-term care insurance that we could tap into that might give you the services that you need.
So under Medicare, because people are probably going to ask this question, I know I'm going to get this phone call. So the if someone says my family member is depressed, or my mom doesn't want to go outside, or we're seeing a change in mom's behaviors. A lot behavioral health is a big thing social workers deal with all the time. Medicare does not cover social work alone.
No, they don't.
Right. So if someone's looking for that social worker to come in and they have Medicare, they would have to have another skill issue in the home.
Sure.
And then they bring social worker in, which is really, it's sad because sometimes there's social things that, they don't mean to be mobile and physical and don't need that extra care, but they do need that guidance that a social worker can provide.
And support.
And support system. So there are social workers that I deal with that are able to go in by themselves and bill Medicare, which is something that we'll talk about on another podcast. But for you, primarily, you're going in because there was a skilled issue going on, a need for nursing or physical therapy, and they're bringing you in as a support to the family.
Absolutely.
So do you ever do multiple visits, or is it just a one-time thing?
So interesting that you asked that question. So years ago, Medicare used to be way more lenient, I'll say, but now they've shortened the visits a lot. So if it's a Medicare case, traditionally we're allowed up to 2 visits now. They, as long as a nurse can justify that she needs to come, or physical therapy can justify, we can still come in. However, there is an endpoint, which is a huge issue. So like if I'm dealing with someone that needs those regular visits, I might refer them out to an agency that is able to
That was my
bill
next
Medicare.
question. So there are people, so if you're going into a home, or for medical social workers going into a home, and they're finding that it's not more, it's definitely, there's a need there, past what the Medicare is going to provide, you can help them find that extra support system.
Yes, absolutely.
And do you help them find maybe day programs or social day programs?
Yeah, we do part of that as well. Again, unfortunately, we are governed by insurances. So ultimately, whether or not there's some sort of a community resource that you can tap into that might be free or might be low-cost sliding scale, if your insurance doesn't cover that type of thing, we can try to help you find some sort of solution.
Yeah, so that's what we always do, because when I was a visiting nurse for a long time, we brought social worker in just to talk about community resource. That was a major thing.
Sure.
Hook them up with Meals on Wheels, hook them up with Catholic Charities, or hook them up with, and that's really what the social workers would come in to help with too. As well as, the behavioral health, the depression, the isolation, just someone to talk to and give them some therapy.
And adjust as well.
Yeah, that's true too, because if you got to think about it. If you're, one day you're out walking about, food shopping and doing your thing, and the next day you're home and you can't get out of bed,
that's
tragic.
Just traumatic.
Yeah, it's very traumatic, and social work is a big part of helping them transition through that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yesterday I had a woman, and I saw her twice already, and her biggest thing is she's 93 years old. She was driving.
That's crazy.
Okay, and she went into the hospital, came home, and is just not herself. And the idea of her not being able to drive, and that's a conversation that, she felt open enough with me to tell me about that, and how she felt that her family wasn't supporting her in a sense that they have a list of things that they wanted her to do, and she's like, but wait a minute, I'm just trying to grasp at this one issue, so let me find my peace in that way, and then let's tackle the other stuff. Right.
I'm sure that's actually a big thing that happens a lot. Taking the car away at the.
Oh my gosh, it's a big deal.
Right? I know.
And there's actually a resource that I know of. I'm not sure all of where they go, but they actually will come in and assess to see if the person can drive.
Oh, get out of here.
Yes.
My husband's aunt is going to be 100, and I think she was driving at 98 years old, her big old Cadillac in Brooklyn. In Brooklyn. And so when they took the car away, well, they didn't take it away, that sounds mean, but when they, suggested that she not drive anymore, someone took the keys, someone stole the car, that was her biggest. I mean, I think that beyond everything else, it was that lack of independence of getting in a car and going to where you want to go.
Yes.
Now you have to ask for someone to take you somewhere.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that we take it for granted. We just get in our car and go.
Because remember, one of the first things that you learned when you were young, maybe at 16, was the I got my permit.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I was able to drive. Like, yes,
That's
I was
true.
able to drive, and I was able to go where I needed to go, and that was it. And now, at my age, let's say I'm 100, you're telling me all of a sudden I can't drive?
Now my
Excuse
kids
me?
have to drive me. I know,
Right.
that's funny. No, it's not funny. It's sad. I know
Yeah,
that's
it
gonna
is
be me.
sad. Yeah.
That, when somebody
Right.
says I can't dye my hair anymore, we got a problem.
Exactly.
Then that in my car.
Right, right.
But I also wanted to say, not only having known you through the years doing medical social work, community, you too were telling me that you started a podcast yourself.
Yes,
So
yes,
that podcast a big thing because you and I feel the same way that there's a lot of information that we can share with people.
Yes.
And a podcast is a great way to get that message out
Yes,
and
it's
help
the perfect
people.
form.
Yes.
Perfect.
So what's your podcast about? Because
So-
I'm going to come on your podcast.
Oh,
next.
yes, you are.
Okay, very good.
Okay, so basically, I come in and I talk to people like yourself, and we offer education and support and guidance and helping people to know the different things that may be available to them. Let's say they're going through some sort of life-changing experience that they might need support. There's a variety of things that you could be going through that you don't even realize. Like, hey, well, I heard about this on this podcast, and maybe I can apply this to whether, even if it's not for yourself, maybe for a loved one, someone that you love, an aunt, an uncle, your mom, your dad, your grandparents, all these different things.
Yeah.
And just having that opportunity where you hear from someone who's been through it, who has that experience, I think is just so mind-blowing and so empowering in a way.
Yeah. See, that's why I feel like me. I mean, everybody that I brought on so far, I've known them and I've done the job. So,
Exactly.
but no one wants to listen to Dana talk
Right,
all day.
right.
So I figured let me bring some other people on
Yeah.
and maybe and talk it in a different perspective and say it in a
Exactly.
different way, and so people can see that there's a lot of people out there that want to share information.
Yes.
We're all in this world together.
Absolutely.
So I feel like if Sandrine can talk about something that
Yes.
somebody may be able to benefit from. Especially, I don't think people realize that community medical social workers can really help and guide you and give the information that maybe you're looking for instead of just making all these random phone calls or Googling whatever.
Right.
The social workers will come to the house and really help
And
support them.
Give you like a checklist of the different things that you can do, the steps that you can take to help you just to deal with this.
Yeah. So do you have a name for your podcast? Jen?
Yes,
You do?
So stay tuned, but the Misguided Notions podcast.
Ah, look at
That
you.
will- 'cause
I like
again,
that.
yes,
there
so
are very
again-
misguided notions out there.
Yes,
I know, very
exactly.
good.
There's a lot of
Yes.
misguided notions out there, and I hope that by talking to people like Dana, Arnone, who knows like the ins and outs of this business, just to have like some sort of a guide and a tool for you should you be going through a situation that you might need assistance with. People like her can be so helpful to you, and let's share our stories. Let's do it.
Sharing
because
the stories.
the best
Yes.
thing that you can do is to talk about your real life experiences, because you will be surprised how much you can change someone else's life.
And not only that, but you can realize that there's other people going through similar situations.
Yes.
Everybody thinks that I laugh all the time when I get a phone call from a family. They'd be like, I have a 95-year-old, and I'm like, yes, your story is just like many other stories. They all think that they're experiencing this by themselves, and that they're the only ones that has a demented parent at home. But they don't realize that there's many people in the same situation.
Absolutely.
And just by listening to maybe knowing that a social worker can come help,
Yeah.
or that there's many families out there that have struggles, similar struggles. So
Exactly.
I tell them all the time, I hear this story 100 times a day.
Yes.
And yes, we can help you, and yes, we
Yes.
can guide you, and this is what you can
Sure.
do. But I'm a firm believer in social work.
Yay.
I probably should have been a social worker, but I chose
know.
nursing. I don't know why. But I feel that social work for me is, nursing, social work, and the home health aides, and definitely physical therapy, but are the core in keeping people home.
Yes, absolutely.
And the benefits that the social worker can provide, and just the knowledge base that the social workers can provide to those families,
Exactly.
is really could sometimes make the difference in between someone really staying home safely and
Right.
emotionally stable versus having to go to a nursing home or whatever. Or to me, everybody wants to be home, so
Right,
I think that
absolutely.
they should tap into the other things that maybe they're not aware of.
Right.
And that's what our podcast is all about: is really
Yes.
trying to give that information out to people.
Educating, and I think that's
Educating.
great.
Yes, I'm an
That's
educator
great.
now.
Yes, you are.
There you
You've
go.
always been an
No,
educator,
no,
believe it
no,
or not.
no,
Yes,
no,
you
no,
have.
I don't think so.
You do. I think
I just
so.
like to talk.
Not true. She educates.
No, I just needed a forum that I can continue talking. That's all it really
Right.
was. My husband is so sick of listening to me, so I had to do this. But Sandrine, I love you. I think that it's been thank you for coming on and sharing your story.
Yes.
I'm eager to see your podcast
Yes,
because now
yes.
I don't even watch my own, so I'll definitely watch yours.
You'll listen. You'll listen.
listen,
It
okay.
won't be video. I'm not that.
Okay, well maybe you'll get
I'm a
there.
little camera shy. Sorry.
Oh, no. Anyway, so I want to say thank you so much.
Yes,
We won't
thank
talk about the
you.
company that you work for
Yes.
because we just won't.
Yes.
But just know that there are many Medicare home care companies
Yes,
that utilize
there is.
medical social
Yes,
workers.
yes.
So if you're in the process of receiving home services from your Medicare provider, go through a certified home care agency, and you feel as though you would like some information that a social worker can provide you, ask your nurse that's coming or your physical therapist that
Right.
if you can request a social worker to come and help you out a little bit.
Yes.
Or if you want, call me, Dana Arnone, 516-308-4840, or visit us at Reliance. What is it? I always forget. RelianceHSSNY.com. I know everybody else's website, but my own, RelianceHSSNY.com. You can, shoot me an email and just ask me some questions. I'm sure Sandrine will be very happy to help.
Absolutely, anytime.
Okay,
Thank
great.
you so much,
Thank you.
Dana.
I love. Thank you. Very good. Take care. All right. Bye-bye.